another episode of the Checkers and Wreckers podcast, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, as always, Carter Leonard, but this isn't just any episode. This is the Season 1 finale of the first season of the Checkers and Wreckers podcast, ladies and gentlemen. This will be the last episode until we head back to the Busch Light Clash in February. So this will be the last episode of the podcast for this year. So let's end off on a high note, ladies and gentlemen. I will say before we get into the meat and potatoes of the show that when I first started this podcast, along with me, Adam, and a bunch of other racing friends, I think that we have learned a lot throughout this year, and I think we're only going to get better as we go along. So, this is only just the beginning. This was what I've learned throughout this whole entire first season is what to do and what not to do. So, not really a whole lot to say. I'm not the type of individual to really sit back and really, go on and on and on about, emotional things. But, this ain't really that emotional, but oh wow, what is going on in my shoe? But no, in all seriousness though, I want to say thank you for everybody who has tuned in to the podcast this year, and we can't wait to see what the future holds. But we still have one more episode to do, and that is as of right now. So, well, the season, ladies and gentlemen, is officially over. NASCAR has wrapped up its 2023 season, its 75th anniversary, might I add. This was a pretty big year in NASCAR. It's going to be one of the most memorable seasons that we have had in a while. A lot of things happened. We've seen drivers go to brand new teams. We saw for the first time ever a street course in NASCAR with a very, very surprising winner. And we have crowned new champions of all three National Touring Series. So, with me saying that and me leaving on that particular note, let's get into the final weekend recap of this season. So, it was championship weekend, ladies and gentlemen, for all three Touring Series of NASCAR. We had the Truck Series race Friday night, the Xfinity Saturday night, and we had the Cup Series race on Sunday afternoon. Let's start out with the Truck Series race, as we have a lot to talk about with that race in particular, as there was some pretty controversial things that happened during this race. And also, we had a State of the Sport address before championship weekend, and it may have not aged too well with some of the comments that some of the higher representatives of this sport made. So, yeah, let's get into the weekend recap in of itself. It was the Truck Series finale at Phoenix Raceway on Friday night. You now get to call Ben Rhodes a two-time Truck Series champion. But it wasn't without any controversy or anything like that. So during the race, the championship four contenders were Ben Rhodes, who ended up being the champion, Grant Enfinger, Corey Heim, and Carson Hocevar. To say that a lot happened in this race would be a complete understatement. And when I mean a lot happened, I don't mean good battles or, great side-by-side racing. No, I'm talking about an utter mess of a race. I wish I could say what I wanted to say inside my head, but I am trying to keep this a more PG show heading into next year. So, yeah. But yes, this truck race was a complete and total mess. During the race, Corey Heim and Carson Hocevar were actually battling it out for the championship lead. I think it was the actual lead of the race in of itself. But Corey Heim got off to a pretty fast start. As we have seen him do this numerous amounts of times throughout the year. He was the most consistent Truck Series driver through the whole entire year, and that's the main reason why he got I had him as my championship Truck Series pick, but that did not age very well. So during the earlier portions of stage 3, I believe. Carson Hocevar and Corey Heim were battling it out for the race lead. And going into turns 1 and 2, Carson Hocevar got into the back bumper of Corey Heim and ended up spinning him out and actually collect the 52 of Stuart Friesen as well. While Friesen was DNF'd, Corey Heim left with a minimal amount of damage, and Carson Hocevar was not happy with himself at all after that incident. I mean, the Fox cameras cut to the in-car shot of him just, punching his steering wheel, just saying, basically saying, oh, I didn't want to do that, oh my goodness, all this stuff. Now, I understand completely that Carson Hocevar didn't do this on purpose or anything like that, but there was no reason that you had to nudge him. Actually, I wanted to mention this before the incident of itself. After Corey Heim got the lead, going into 3 and 4, Hocevar bumped Corey Heim from behind, and I'm just like, okay, dude, like, you don't have to do that. I mean, there's no reason to do that. And I'm just like, okay, Hocevar, don't do that again. And then he ends up doing it again, and this time it sends Corey Heim around, and I'm just like, are you serious right now? Again, I'm not saying Hocevar didn't do it intentionally, but you just gotta you gotta be smarter than that. So that sends Corey Heim to the back of the pack, per se. It didn't drop him all the way to last, but, to say that Corey Heim was not happy, again, would be an understatement. I've used that term twice already. But Heim was driving up through the field, and while he was moving up to the field, the truck didn't really have the same exact pace as it once did because of some right side rear end damage, which killed the aerodynamics of his truck. And he actually waited on Carson Hocevar to take him out, essentially. So coming out of turns 1 and 2, Hocevar was on the high side, Heim was on the low side, and oh goodness, excuse me. Quick pause right here. Sorry for that mild inconvenience, ladies and gentlemen. I'm kind of dealing with a bit of a cold right now, so just bear with me here. So I didn't mean to cough like that, but so as I was saying, Hocevar was on the high side of the racetrack, Heim was low, and basically Heim just shoved him up to the racetrack, put Carson Hocevar on the wall, adding more damage to the 11, and basically killing the 42 trucks day. And Hocevar even came on the radio saying that, you know what, that retaliation was 100% fair, and the rest is history. Now, I've seen a lot of people on Twitter who are not big Corey Heim fans out of this. Now, I'm not saying that Corey Heim should have retaliated on racetrack, because I think I've already made my opinion clear on on-track retaliation. Going back to the Chase Elliott and Denny Hamlin situation at Charlotte earlier in the year, where Elliott got suspended afterwards. But to say that Corey Heim didn't have every right to be pissed would be, would be a lie. And the reason why a lot of people were upset at the fact that Corey Heim, did all that wasn't because he wrecked Carson Hocevar, but this was in the later portions of the race, and actually Grant Enfinger was leading the championship run. Like, he was leading out of all the 3 other contenders, and had the race gone green, we would have been talking about Grant Enfinger being the 2023 Truck Series champion. So to say that, Corey Heim did affect the end of the Truck Series race, which if you are a Grant Enfinger fan, then it's completely understandable if you are upset. I mean, I'd be upset if that happened to my driver as well. But, I'm not really going to sit here and pick sides of, what happened. So, damn, back-to-back weeks we have on-track drama. Martinsville, we had the RCR situation, and now we have the Hocevar Heim situation. So, and afterwards, the Truck Series, the race itself just went into another crap show, so to speak. But it ended up with Christian Eckes actually getting the race win in of itself, and Ben Rhodes, just like his 2021 title, didn't have to win the race in order to win the championship. He finished ahead of all 4 other competitors, and Ben Rhodes is now a 2-time NASCAR Truck Series champion with only 1 win this season. So, yeah, what a wild Friday night that was. Congratulations to Ben Rhodes and the entire 99 team at Thor Sport Racing for this championship. The championship trophy is heading back to Sandusky, Ohio. So that's pretty fun. I'm not the biggest Ben Rhodes guy, but it's whatever, I guess. I was just glad that race was over, because that race, if you're an East Coaster like myself, the race started at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I was probably up until about 1 a.m. after that race concluded. And to say that I was just like sitting in my living room couch just hoping and praying for that race to be done, that statement would be true. I was just like, and I'm glad I wasn't the only one who was like that. There was multiple fans and multiple race fans that, I'm associated with or friends with that are just like, can we just, I don't even care who wins the title. Can we just, go on with our lives, please? And we have done just that as of Thursday, the November 9th, 2023, as of the time of this recording. So, yeah, Ben Rhodes is the 2023 NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series champion. Now we finally get into Saturday, and thankfully the Xfinity Series race was not like the Truck Series race. Thank goodness. So the Xfinity Series season finale took place at Phoenix Raceway. We were guaranteed a new champion for this year after last year's champion Ty Gibbs moved up to the Cup Series. So the championship for the Xfinity Series this year was Cole Custer, John Hunter Nemechek, Justin Allgaier, and Sam Mayer. And it ended up being Cole Custer grabbing not only his 3rd win of the season, because he actually won the race, but his first ever NASCAR Xfinity Series championship. If you were there during the 2018 or 2019 seasons when Cole Custer was just tearing it up in the Xfinity Series field, he came also close to winning an Xfinity Series title, but now this year he finally got it after it was announced almost a year ago that he would go back down to the Xfinity Series. He got demoted back down to Xfinity after it was announced that Ryan Preece would take over the 41. All of the eyes were on Cole Custer because we've seen how good Cole Custer is in the Xfinity Series during that time. We're just like, okay, how's he going to do? This, and that. And let's just say, I think he handled it pretty well. I mean, 2 of his wins came on road courses. 1 didn't even make the halfway mark, but, it was a win nonetheless. But Cole Custer stayed consistent throughout the rest of the season, and he picked up the win that mattered most to him, and it was an Xfinity Series championship. So, congratulations to Cole Custer and the 00 team over at Stewart-Haas Racing. So, I remember, I think I remember, a week ago or something, when we were making our championship picks, we talked about Riley Herbst winning at Las Vegas being the highlight of Stewart-Haas Racing's season. Yeah, I take that back now. Cole Custer winning the championship is now the highlight of their season so far for that program as a whole. So, that'll do it for Xfinity. Now let's move on to the Cup Series race, which was the most anticipated race of the weekend, of course. This year's Championship 4 was the youngest on average when it came to drivers. We had Kyle Larson, age 31, Ryan Blaney, age 29, Christopher Bell, age 28, and William Byron, age 25. So, as of this year, this was the youngest Championship 4 to this day. So, now let's get into the race in of itself. William Byron took the race lead early and actually dominated stage 1. So we kind of questioned if this was going to be a William Byron runaway day. But no, that did not turn out to be the case, as Ryan Blaney, the 29-year-old from Hartford, Ohio, is now a NASCAR Cup Series champion. It has finally happened, ladies and gentlemen. And all it took this year was some not so kind comments from Kyle Petty earlier in the year. I don't know if you guys remember the earlier episodes of the year, but one of the episodes consists of Kyle Petty calling Ryan Blaney the modern day Casey Kane, that he doesn't do much, this, and that, or, potential unfulfilled. Well, that potential, as of this past weekend, has fulfilled. As, I've watched Ryan Blaney throughout his entire Cup Series career so far. I believe his rookie year was all the way back in 2016 when he was still with the Wood Brothers, and we have just seen this guy progress, steadily improve throughout the years. There was a time from 2017 all the way to 2020 that he would just get, one win a year, and we're just like, when's his breakout going to be? And then 2021 happens, and, he gets 3 wins on the year. And 2022, we could argue, was probably the greatest winless season in NASCAR history or the modern era. And now in 2023, he picks up 3 wins and the Cup Series championship. So, how did Ryan Blaney get here? Well, it all started at Talladega in the round of 12, where he picked up that win to advance himself into the round of 8. And ever since that win, he had the best 6-race stretch of any other driver in the playoff field. So, in reality, when we were talking about, does Kyle Larson have the momentum at Las Vegas after he won? When in reality, it was Ryan Blaney that had the momentum all along. It was right under our noses. It was right in front of our eyes, and we just paid no attention to it. And it's not that we don't care about Ryan Blaney. No, I think Ryan Blaney is one of the best in our sport as of right now. But, we always asked ourselves, is this the year he's going to break out? Is this the year where he's going to make something happen? And this year was the year. I mean, wow. Wow. And just like Ben Rhodes on Friday night, he did not win the actual race in of itself in the championship. He actually finished second to Ross Chastain, who, the number 1 car for Trackhouse Racing, they picked up their second win of the season. So Trackhouse leads on a high note, but Ryan Blaney has captured another championship for the captain, Roger Penske. And this is the first time in Team Penske's stint in NASCAR where they have won back-to-back Cup Series championships. Because if you remember last year, Joey Logano was the defending series champion, and Ryan Blaney finished second that race last year too. And Blaney did have the faster car, but he was told to hold back as Logano was trying to go win a championship. And I wonder if that fueled Ryan Blaney a bit. I wonder if that lit a fire under him to say, you know what, this is my year. I'm gonna go and do it. So, Ryan Blaney is the 2023 NASCAR Cup Series champion. The other 3 playoff contenders, that being William Byron, kind of fell off in the later stages of the race. Christopher Bell had a very heartbreaking ending, as going into turn 3, he lost a brake rotor and slammed the outside wall, which basically ended his day. And then you had Kyle Larson, who Blaney was battling it out with for the final last 20 or 21 laps. And Larson was trying everything he can to hold out the 12 car, but the 12 was just the better car all day long. Quite frankly, the most dominant race I've ever seen Ryan Blaney have, where he didn't have to win the race, just, finish ahead of the 3 other drivers. And, a lot of people often complain about the one race championship thing. Personally, I don't mind it. A lot of people want to see, a championship round of itself. But then again, I really don't think that's, really going to help anything per se. I don't know. It's an odd topic to talk about. But all that matters is that the driver in the number 12 gets to celebrate a championship title. But with all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that'll do it for the final weekend recap of the season. Gosh, that just doesn't feel right saying that, because the season's over. It's just... But we'll be back soon. We'll be back soon. But we have a lot to talk about on today's show, ladies and gentlemen. And we are going to address some of the sports key points in the sports address, ladies and gentlemen. So prior to the championship weekend, we had the state of the sport address from NASCAR President Steve Phelps and NASCAR executive Steve O'Donnell. So we are going to look at some of the things that was said in the state of the sport address, as I will pull up that sheet with me right now. And oh well, I can't find it, so it got lost up in my note sheet. So I'll let a quick break right here, ladies and gentlemen. All right, there we go. I found my sheet. Don't know why it was missing on my phone here. So one of the main key points and one of the good things about the state of sport of the address, let's get into one of the first hugs, and that is regarding the next TV deal. So Steve Phelps spent a significant amount of time talking about both the current TV ratings and the future TV deal. So what I'm getting from this is that well, I'm not getting a whole lot from that, but according to DailyDownForce.com, it says that NASCAR's potential move to streaming has been a topic of conversation throughout the year. While specifics were not given today, it shows that streaming will have some presence in the next NASCAR TV deal. As far as the timeline, Fox Corporation CEO Lachlan Murdoch told Awful announcing that a NASCAR on Fox TV deal renewal could be close to happening. And it was also made clear that the next TV deal is close to being finalized and done. So we will probably know within the next couple of months on what the next TV deal will possibly look like. I know it should have been revealed like earlier within the the year, because this was right around mid summer. We should have probably got an idea on what the next TV deal or broadcasting deal would have looked like. But here we are in the month of November, and just just yeah, we still don't have that deal done. But the deal is stated to be in its final stages. So so that's one of the main key points. One of the next main key points of the state of the sport address is the at-track attendance. And this year we actually saw a pretty decent amount of attendance at the racetrack, mainly in some places like the North Wilkesboro All-Star Race, which sold out both of its races, both the truck and the All-Star Race in of itself. And we also saw there was, according to Steve Phelps, 50% more sellouts in 2023 than in 2022. So that's a really good thing. Obviously, TV ratings don't really, they dictate, viewership, but at the same time, I think, to say, for any outsider who says no one shows up to NASCAR races, well, statistics show that we have a 50% more sellout rate than last year. So, got to keep those positive numbers up, and that's exactly what they are doing. Next key point is the short track racing product as of right now, and that's been one of the things that a lot of fans and drivers and people within the industry have talked about, saying the short track package is not where it needs to be right now. Last year, it was not great at all. This year, they did some tweaking with it. They did some things to the rear diffuser. They shortened the height of the spoiler from 4 inch to 2 inches. There was a bit of improvement with some tracks like Richmond, but other than that, fans would argue that it still is not where it needs to be. Christopher Bell even called this package and the engines that we run gutless, pretty much. And a lot of fans have came out and said that they think that the main solution that they should do is upping the horsepower and get rid of shifting at short tracks. And Steve O'Donnell came up and said, when they were asked, what's next for the short track package and improvements, and what are they going to do in the future, O'Donnell said, and I quote, "Everything is up for consideration. However, he did mention that for now they are still looking at shifting and changes to the underbody of the car. So they are trying to eliminate shifting at short tracks, which that is a good step in the right direction. And when he says that everything is up for conversation, he did mean more horsepower. So, and a lot of people around me are saying, oh, they're going to test everything out before, more horsepower. So, personally, I would like to see more horsepower, but you have to get rid of the shifting because shifting is it's just not good at the short tracks. It just doesn't produce, any sort of racing whatsoever. And if they could get rid of that, which, the next gen car is a 5-gear car compared to the traditional 4th gear that the Gen 6 had. Some drivers like it, some drivers don't. So that's all I got to say for that. Next key point is the international reach. NASCAR is trying to get their name out to a lot of international markets out there. There was even rumors saying that the 2024 schedule could have Montreal on its day. And initially, that was the way it was going to go. But due to conflicting pieces and whatnot, Montreal will not be on the 2024 schedule. But don't be surprised if it were to appear in 2025. So when asked about why Montreal fell apart, Steve O'Donnell said this: "We want to build NASCAR within that particular country or marketplace. As we continue to talk in Montreal, we probably realized a little quick to be able to make that happen." It does now, from what I'm understanding, the idea for international races are definitely not off the table. I'm sure NASCAR is still planning to do some in the future, but as of right now, it's just kind of, I wouldn't say completely ambitious, but it's just not where it needs to be right now because a lot of pieces have to fall in place for something like that to happen. And another key point is the playoff system in of itself. I don't really think I need to go down the rabbit hole of what people or any diehard fans of the sport actually think about the current playoff elimination style system that we currently have right now. So, Phelps took an interesting approach and defended the NASCAR playoff system. He said, and I quote, "I've heard some things that there were people like, hey, listen, this is gimmicky. It's not. It's an incredible playoff system that rewards the best drivers in our sport." Steve, listen, I don't mean to disagree with you on a ton of things, but did we not see what happened Friday night in the Truck Series, which is the same playoff system I had? It's not as many drivers in the playoffs, but it's still that knockout elimination style playoff format. And we saw what happened when 4 drivers, get into desperation mode in that series. You could argue that it's the Truck Series, but it's that's what happens. I don't know if it's an incredible playoff system. But if anything, this comment tells fans that playoffs are staying the same and they are not going anywhere anytime soon. So for any people who are hoping and praying for a full season points format, that's most likely not going to happen. Driver marketing was another one that they talked about, and I think that this has been talked about for the past few months about, how could we boost up, popularity, and I think driver marketing is definitely one of them because you have these athletes in your sport who any fans of the sport know that some of those drivers have personality. You look at Denny Hamlin. I think he's the biggest villain in NASCAR as of right now. You have guys like Chase Elliott and Ryan Blaney who are the most beloved drivers in our sport. And then you have some guys who are kind of outsiders like, William Byron, Christopher Bell, some of the guys that are kind of like not the greatest, when it comes to, like, they're not known for any sort of personality, but they are really talented behind the wheel. And I think that driver marketing, if you market those drivers to, a certain extent and a certain, like a great rate of marketing, I think some outsiders will probably see this guy and go, hey, he's a NASCAR driver. Maybe I should check him out and see, what he's all about. So that's ideally how it should go. Phelps said regarding to the drivers, he said, our drivers are cool. They're interesting. Which, if you're trying to tell that to a newbie or a new fan into the sport, they're gonna ask you questions. Okay, well, who's most liked? Who's most disliked? Whatnot. And he also talked about how they are going to be creating a brand new production facility called NASCAR Studios. It will actually be used for to create content for drivers. So I'm not sure what exactly content they're talking about. I highly doubt it's going to be the average social media, content posting, sharing photos or whatnot. But, at least they are trying to market their drivers. So that's a very good thing. Another thing is the charter deal with race teams. So we have the schedule come out. We have the TV deal, which is most likely going to get done soon. Now all we have to worry about is the brand new charter deal. So in the Daily Downforce article that I'm still reading off to you guys as of right now, Phelps gave both an update and a timeline for how the current charter agreement discussions are going with the race teams. In regards to specific discussions, Phelps said, if you would ask the race teams, do we think we're making progress with NASCAR on where things stand in the extension of our charters, I think our race teams would say yes. He also said that the TV deal comes first before getting the charter deal done. This is exactly what Adam Stern reported earlier regarding the charter agreement. It seems, based on all of the news coming out today, that something will get done, but it is still going to take some time. So, yeah, of course, things like this are going to take time. They're not just going to happen in a snap of a finger, obviously. But the charter agreement and the TV deal really intertwine with each other because, a lot of the teams, they want that TV money. And I'm not going to go into I'm not really going to say anything that I think I know about, the whole charter thing because, I don't want to make it sound like that I don't know what I'm talking about. But it sounds like that they are close to getting it done. Denny Hamlin and some other, higher ups, way higher up than me, obviously, have came out and said that we're not getting deals done, this and that. They said that earlier in the year. It's a slow progress, but I think time and patience is the key right here. And quite frankly, I think as for the state of the sport in of itself, if I had to put a label on the current state of NASCAR, I would say it's good, but it could be better. There are some things that we talked about that I think could be done a lot better. For one, the short track package, timing with, deals with like charter agreements and, TV deals and driver marketing because, you want to market your athletes very, very well because that's going to grab the viewer's attention, so to speak. So, yeah, that'll do it for the topic of the state of the sport. There are some other topics that I wanted to talk about that really weren't in the state of the sport address, but they were talking about some some things regarding the future of our sport. And so one of the topics, was the CW's parent company views the NASCAR Xfinity Series deal starting in 2025 as the crown jewel of the CW's growing sports portfolio. This was the tweet by Adam Stern, and Taylor Jed Jestrick, I'm pretty sure I pronounced that wrong, saying that it will be the lead horse for the foreseeable future. So the CW obviously has a growing sports demographic going on. They host some wrestling events, they host some college basketball events, and now this is the biggest thing that they are going to get, which is the NASCAR Xfinity Series. And I'm really glad to see that the NASCAR Xfinity Series, which I'm not saying it didn't have any value, but a lot of people have came out and said that the Xfinity Series, in their eyes, doesn't have any value anymore. But when it comes to the CW picking up the Xfinity Series to air races all season long, that shows that the Xfinity Series does hold some value. I mean, if it didn't hold any value at all, why would the CW pick it up at all is beyond me. But that's another topic that I wanted to talk about, which is regarding the Xfinity Series, TV deal in 2025. The next topic I wanted to talk about comes from the Kickin' the Tires website, and that is, it says, according to Adam Stern, NASCAR will test its electric race car in December, this time at the Martinsville Speedway, and it could make its public debut to fans as early as January of 2024. Excuse me. So the idea of an electric race car in NASCAR has gone back to last year, as a matter of fact, when it was leaked through leaked documents that there might have been an EV exhibition series that would have debuted at the Clash this year, but NASCAR said that those plans went quickly down the drain. But currently, in this article by Jerry Jordan, it says that the car was tested at ZMAX Dragway and had positive results, but there appear to be no plans currently to start a new racing series. He said, NASCAR is gauging the interest of its fan base and looking at an alternate fuel options for the future. Steve O'Donnell then came out and said a lot of work has gone on at the R&D department around EV. We have a car, we have an alternate body style with that car. So there is, I don't want to assume that there is what kind of body the car has or what kind of manufacturer it is, but to say that this is going to engage interest of its fan base is kind of not the best wording, because a lot of NASCAR fans that I've met have said that they do not like the idea of this sport going electric in the future, which will probably most likely happen, but that's decades down the line. Then there was also, the idea of another series being made for EV, and you know what? If that's going to be the case, then I am completely fine with that. If you want to keep that as a separate series, then I am completely okay with that. Take out the ARCA motors and make ARCA electric if you want to do that. ARCA is basically the fourth touring series of NASCAR, essentially. So, if you want to make that electric, go ahead. So, interesting to see that NASCAR will have an electric race car being tested out next month at Martinsville. So, can't wait to see how that does. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that'll do it for that topic, or topics as I like to say. But we also have some silly season news that came out today. It was announced at the NASCAR Hall of Fame earlier today that Brennan Poole will be driving the number 44 car for Alpha Prime Racing in the NASCAR Xfinity Series next year. Poole spent his time this year doing part-time starts for JD Motorsports, I believe. Was it part-time or was it full-time? I don't know. But all I know is that he was in the 6 car this year for multiple races in the Xfinity Series. So he will be at Alpha Prime Racing next year. And in the Truck Series, it was announced at Tricon Garage that Tanner Gray will be back in the 15 truck for 2024. He will be rejoining Dean Thompson and Corey Heim as a teammate. So I'm assuming Death, Taxes, and his brother Taylor Gray will be back in the 17 truck for next year. And another silly season news, and it's not been confirmed as of yet, but it was announced on Dale Jr.'s podcast that he was talking about Kaulig Racing, and that Ty Dillon will most likely be the new driver of the 16 car joining Daniel Hemrick in the 31. So it looks to be all but confirmed that Ty Dillon will be in the 16 car at Kaulig. Kind of a very interesting move. So Kaulig's lineup is going to go from their Cup lineup is going to go from AJ Allmendinger and Justin Haley, which Justin Haley announced that he will be going to Rick Rare Racing. And it looks like AJ Allmendinger will be heading back down to Xfinity for Kaulig. That lineup goes from that to Ty Dillon in the 16, which has had very limited success in the Cup Series, let alone any at all. I don't mean to be a bully, but, it's true. To Daniel Hemrick, the 2021 NASCAR Xfinity Series champion, who will get another shot in the Cup Series for the first time since 2019. That was back when he was in the Richard Childress number 8 car. So, and then Dale Jr. also added that next year will be a struggle for Kaulig Racing. And you know what? I can't really say anything different. I mean, to say that he's wrong, that would be, that would not be correct. I mean, which Kaulig Racing, they did win a race this year with AJ Allmendinger at the Roval, but other than that, their whole trophy hunting thing in the Cup Series was just kind of not there. It's not been there for the past couple of seasons that they've had a Cup Series program. So, yeah, it wasn't all there. So, I will say that, congrats to Ty Dillon for landing another Cup ride, and that's pretty much it. Best of luck to him. So, yeah, that'll do it for silly season news this week, ladies and gentlemen, as it's going to be a while before we get any other news to talk about, because, again, this is the last episode before we head into February next year. So, yeah. But with all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that'll do it for this week's episode of the Checkers or Wreckers podcast. I know it's a bit of a shorter episode. There wasn't really a whole lot to talk about this week besides championship weekend and a few news here and there. But yeah, this is the season 1 finale of the show, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, for any viewers of the show who tuned in this year, I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you. And thank you to all the people around me, whether it's Adam, Professor, our new host, Brian, who you will see next year, for making all of this possible. And I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, once again, thank you guys for tuning in to the Checkers Wreckers podcast. So, as always, ladies and gentlemen, I am your host, Carter Leonard, and you just tuned into the Checkers Wreckers podcast. And I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.